Hazard reduction burning in the Cumberland Plains woodlands and its effect on biodiversity. In particular, the impact these fire events have on threatened and endangered species, both flora and fauna. The Cumberland Plains woodland encompasses a large proportion of surviving forest and grassland habitats throughout Western Sydney. This dominant biome once covered over 125,000 hectares, yet since European settlement only 10,500 hectares remain. These clay-rich soils are enhanced by the Wainamata shale layer beneath, and the Cumberland Plains woodlands plays an important role in the conservation of species throughout Western Sydney and contains a plethora of vulnerable and endangered species which survive nowhere else on the planet. Nearby housing is protected by a series of hazard reduction burns carried out by the Rural Fire Brigade in order to minimise harm to both assets and human life. These incidents of fire impact the ecosystem in terms of soil quality, invasive weed species, and the native species which rely upon heat or smoke to germinate. In order to determine the full impact of these fire events, research into the species abundance, habitat fuel loads, biodiversity, and distribution should be correlated before and after a fire event, yet none of this research is funded by the New South Wales State Government. The main hypothesis of a case study regarding this issue would be that hazard reduction burning in the Cumberland Plains woodland increases the stress factors upon an already threatened species unnecessarily. We can see this from the following reasons. Hazard reduction burns generally occur within the winter months to maintain control over such fires, and it is out of sync with the natural reproduction cycles of native plants. These plants have evolved over millions of years to reproduce after intense fire events which should never occur within managed areas. Clearing the ground cover with hazard reduction burning often provides the perfect conditions for invasive plant species to become introduced into an area. This decreases habitat for native animals and increases habitat for invasive animals or pests. In this way, a case study is very important to gain a better balance between the protection of property and lives and the maintenance of natural ecosystems. If rural bushfire services had more interaction with the scientific community in regards to the location and natural life cycles of endangered flora and fauna, extinction events caused by these asset loss prevention could be minimised without increasing the risk for humans and their property. As human population increases exponentially, especially throughout the Western Sydney Basin, more resources should be directed towards conserving these species, rather than purely the protection of human assets from bushfire. In conclusion, the New South Wales Rural Bushfire Service does a fantastic job protecting the human community, considering that most of them are volunteers. With more funding, we should preserve our bushland, while at the same time protecting our native ecosystems and providing valuable employment and green spaces for the next generation and minimising extinction events while Sydney expands.